Hey everybody, welcome back to another week, another check-in, and gosh, this week was just insane. Like so many random things and so much diversity with what was going on in my life. I'm just like, I don't even know how I got through this week. But I guess before we jump in, have a look at all of my nutrition data, my training data, what's kind of on tap for the current week, I wanted to take you back a little bit to some of the things that we got up to last week. So first and foremost, I am so excited to officially announce our new research review, Bea Brain. So this is a monthly subscription-based product that we're bringing to you that has 4 reviews of different research articles that are related to health in general. So we'll focus some on nutrition, some on resistance training, and I know that you guys are going to absolutely love this. So traditionally, research reviews have been published as, like a magazine, and they're like written copy only. So I know that everybody is so time poor, I guess, in today's day and age. So we also do an audible version of the magazine. So if you guys are wanting to learn a little bit more about that, or go and check out the latest subjects that we cover, head on over to our website and you can go and check out Bea Brain. It's actually listed in the shop. You can find subscription options available there. So very excited to have announced that last week. So we've been working on our next edition, and I have got so many awesome studies coming to you relating to metabolic adaptation, refeeds, and deloads, and training intensity RPE. So that's all coming in our next issue. So I cannot wait to launch that one as well. That was super fun for me. I guess something else that launched this past week that I didn't really get a good opportunity to chat about just because we've been so busy, but we've got some brand new programs on our Bea Fit Training App. So I have officially launched Miss Bikini Olympia Part 4. So that is now live and up and running for those of you that are already on Bea Fit. I'm sure you have seen that, or at least if you go into all of the programs, you'll be able to scroll down and take a look at that. It's not really like an announcement anywhere. It's just going to be listed as a new program. And we also have a beginner, intermediate, full body program as well that's a little bit more symmetrical. I know my training is very unique and specific to my current goals, and I have been training for close to 2 decades, whereas I know there are a lot of people, new followers, that are brand new to resistance training, and they would like to have a more holistic approach to their training. So it's a full body program. So that's another new one. And I guess in the coming weeks, we've got some more unique muscle group specific programs coming out as well. So upper body focus or lower body focus, and kind of bringing up specific muscle groups, as I know we've had quite a few requests from participants and users about that type of program. But anyhow, last week I was battling an illness. So I think my body kind of held out just to get me through nationals last weekend or the weekend before last, and then it just turned to kaput. So I had a little bit of a sore throat. So my little dog clearly has an attitude problem today. I'm so sorry. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, I got sick. So I held off, and then I could feel like I had a sore throat, but it didn't really go anywhere. And then, yeah, Monday, Tuesday roll around, and I'm just like, oh, I know I'm getting something. So yeah, I was runny nose, coughing, spluttering, cancelled and then uncancelled multiple different filming days and photo shoots. I was like, I just don't know how I'm going to be feeling. So yeah, I haven't been unwell for a little while. I think the last time I got sick was another round of COVID just after Christmas. I think we'd been around like big groups of family members, and I'm usually pretty like isolated from everybody, so I'm sure my immune system was like, what the heck, there's all these humans. And I got sick around Christmas, so that was the last time I've had like any kind of sickness. So man, don't we take our health for granted? Until it's taken from you, you don't realize what you're missing when you do get a cold. So I didn't have any taste. This was the weirdest thing. So for most of the week, I was just fueling my body with zero taste. It was horrible. And it just makes, again, appreciation for your taste buds when you don't have it. Oh my gosh, it's just like, why am I eating? What's the point? So I got through, I guess, most of the week. and I'd organized a photo shoot. So I realized normally I always do multiple photo shoots before, during, after my competitions because, you know, I'm kind of focused, I'm in the zone, I've got some time to do it. And I completely forgot about that this year. I quickly phoned a friend, Sergey Yusuf, who is based in Miami, and he has been just the most amazing photographer. I've worked with him for years now. I think he's done nearly every single photo shoot for every competition that I've done. He was available by way of miracle on Saturday morning, and so too was my makeup girl that's right here, like 7 minutes from my house. We ended up doing this shoot, and we did it super early on Saturday morning. I think I was up at like 4 o'clock, and we were on the beach by 7 because it is so freaking hot here. Like right now, believe it or not, me and Diego, who's behind the camera, we're just melting away. It's fine. But yeah, it looks good. But yeah, we had to be on the beach so early, otherwise like your makeup, if you're spending, you know, $300 on hair and makeup, you want it to stay on. And by no sooner than we'd gotten through the first outfit or the first look that I did, Sergey was like, you know, do you need to fix your hair? And I'm like, I don't have a mirror with me at this point. I'm like, I'm sure it's fine. But by the time we got back to the car, I remember pulling my hair around to the side of my body, and I'm like, oh my God, it looked like this. So, and I had it in curls, like tight ringlets, like while we were getting ready. So my hairstyle for like the last 2 outfits that I had for this bikini shoot just looked like I could have been homeless. It was so bad. So I had to look at all of the, I guess the proof, the edit. The next day he sent them across, and I just said, gee, like hair looks phenomenal. It's just like a wild mess. So I don't know whether I'm even going to be able to use some of those photos, but thankfully I called back my hairdresser and I just took a quick picture of the side, and she was like, oh my God, it fell. And I'm like, yeah, it's Florida, girl. So she lived 7 minutes from me, and drove back over. We're like hustling to get my hair done again. And then we went straight over to the gym to film at a gym shoot. So thankfully, the lovely Brett Contreras let me use his facility on Saturday, and it was basically empty for most of the shoot. There were no other girls there on Saturday morning, so they look badass. I am so excited. I love these pictures, and I cannot wait to, like, I don't know, just, you know me, I'm going to use them for my content, for thumbnails, like that kind of stuff is what I need. I don't really have much of a purpose for like the super glamorous pictures anymore. I mean, it's fun to do, honestly, like you put all this work in doing a bodybuilding show, you know, it's kind of nice to get pictures of that, but I kind of missed the mark. I think I was leaner at my last, you know, probably leading into the show. So this is the first time that I've actually done a photo shoot, you know, a good week or so afterwards. So I was not my leanest. And I know, again, kind of thinking back to how far I have come in my own journey of like body confidence, improved body image, there would have been a point where there is no way you could have paid me money to do a photo shoot, you know, after the fact when I wasn't looking my absolute best. So, you know, I thought about it, you know, as I was booking, you know, the shoots. And I was like, you know, you do not need to be like super, super shredded for these pictures. Like, honestly, you know, I'm not out there promoting, you know, bodybuilding competitions as like my business. It's something that I do as a hobby. But I was like, okay, what are you going to use these photos for, Holly? And, you know, I'm a practical person. I'm like, they're going to be the thumbnails of your YouTube videos and, or, you know, some kind of topic or subject that I'm writing about in, you know, the area of exercise and nutrition science. And I was like, you know, I just need some gym pictures. So yeah, I think I'm really impressed, proud, and happy with the progress that I have made over the years, because I definitely don't look like I've just stepped off stage. I look like I'm close to maybe getting on stage. Yeah, I just did it and had a ball. It was really fun, and the pictures in the gym just look awesome. So I guess I can't wait to share them with you. Yeah, I guess that was the photo shoot, and then I had to immediately clean my house because I had house showings here on Sunday, but then I also had to drive to Tampa. So spring cleaned my entire home, got it like show ready. Y'all have sold a house before, you know it has to just look like no one even lives in it, which is really hard when you live in your house. So got the house cleaned, was running around like a crazy person. Didn't get a training session in that day, and then I drove 4 and a bit hours back up to Tampa because Sam was moving house that day. So he was moving from, I guess, one condo to another kind of in the same area. So I was like, I need to go and help him do that. Yeah, so we got in, it was like 8 o'clock, and I was like, I'm kind of hungry. And then I remembered I don't have any taste buds. Like, what do I even want to eat? And usually for me, like Friday and Saturday, I'm like, all right, where's the nicest restaurant? What do I want to eat? I'm going to indulge. I've worked hard all week. Let's go and do something fun. But when you don't have your taste, like the excitement was like, it's just like a fizzle. So we booked, I guess it's Bouillon, which is in the Edition, I'm going to say, or the Heron, one of the big buildings in downtown Tampa. It's an awesome restaurant, like great vibes, great cocktails, awesome menu. So I'm sitting there looking at food. I'm like, this is really like a pointless exercise. So like he ordered a burger, which I normally love. They have such a great burger. I'd give it 10 out of 10. I've had so many burgers in my life. This burger is, I can't really give you a great reason as to why it's so good. It's like the bread is like perfect and waxy and set. It doesn't absorb all of the juices. It's not dripping down your fingers. It's got the perfect amount of double smash burger and cheese. Like, it's amazing. I'm going to put a picture up on the screen for you so you can check this burger out. If you're in Tampa, go to Bouillon and order their smash burger. But anyway, I didn't order any food. I was like, why? Why am I bothering? So instead I had a cocktail, and I don't know, I was getting my hopes up. And as I took a sip, I was hoping like, oh yeah, I'm gonna taste my old fashioned, or I'm gonna taste this cocktail. And I'm like, I could be drinking water. So it was just weird. So I'm like, I could probably like drink so much alcohol right now. And, it wouldn't be, when you normally get like the vodka face where you take a sip of something, it's like, oh. I could have knocked back anything, truly, and it wouldn't have made a difference. So just had a couple of basic drinks on Saturday night to relax. And I don't think we got home until 2 a.m. First and foremost, we went out very late because I didn't get into Tampa until pretty late. But I think we were the last people to leave the club. Like, I have not been able to relax and just talk and be present because we've always had something going. So, yeah, I had a late night on Saturday, and then had to get up really early and do all the moving. So I ended up skipping some of my training. I think I only got 3 workouts in last week. I did get some cardio done, but with all the cleaning and moving back and forth between these 2 buildings, it's fair to say I got enough movement in. So that was a very busy day. But I will say, when we got home from the restaurant or the bar on Saturday night, I was like, damn it, my stomach is grumbling. Like, when you start to get like that pit feeling because you're hungry. And we didn't have any food in the house. Like, again, we're like, he's completely packed up and basically ready to move to this other place. Nothing in the refrigerator. I think there was like a few condiments in the fridge at the other place. So I'm like, I need to eat. So the only thing that was open at 2 a.m. was freaking McDonald's. Like, I'm on Uber Eats, and believe it or not, there was nothing open at 2. So I ordered myself 6 chicken nuggets and some burger. I can't remember what I had. But as I'm sitting in bed at 2 a.m. eating my chicken nuggets and my McDonald's burger, I'm like, what has the world come to? What am I doing? Where is my life going? So that was the first time I think I've ever ordered McDonald's after like a night out, but not by choice. It was just the only food that was available at that time of the day. Yeah, this week was kind of weird. No taste, random photo shoots, just hustling, but with random things. So yeah, I guess that's kind of how the week panned out. I know I want to talk to you guys about my specific data, and we'll go and take a look at my computer at all of my nutrition. I'll talk more about kind of my approach, I guess, leading into the photo shoot. Was there anything that I did, to make sure that I looked my best, at least for the circumstances that I was in? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about my training. But I do want to quickly touch on the Love Yourself Fit Challenge. So that is our next, 12-week program that's coming up. So registration technically closes today. So today's July 3rd, Wednesday, but the event or the competition does not start until next Tuesday. So if you are watching this video, I would encourage you to head on over to our website if you would still like to participate. Again, you can sign up as part of our DIY program. The DIY basically involves an educational guide. I've got video tutorials. There's a full audible version of the DIY. So if you don't want to just sit down and read, you can listen as you're doing something else. It's more important. And then every week you are included in the weekly Q&As. So you have an opportunity to either submit questions directly to us, where I'll answer them in the Q&A, or if you attend live, I welcome open conversations. So, if we're talking about something and you come up with a question like there on the spot, you can ask. We've got the group kind of involved, and that's a full hour, extravaganza. So that's a really great program. You get to connect with other people that are also in a similar position to you, and you'll also have access to Bea Fit. So anybody that participates in the challenge will be able to use my new resistance program, or training program app. I shouldn't say resistance program. It's also stretching, mobility, cardio. Everything is included in Bea Fit. That's about all that I think I've got for you sitting out here. Gonna need to have a sip here in a second. So we're gonna go inside and take a look at all of my data and go through everything together. And then I'll answer the YouTube questions too at the end. Okay, so checking over the data for the past week. This is the first time that I'm kind of looking at things, so it's all going to be very raw and real reactions. I have no knowledge of how my compliance was, or what my calories were, or what my average weight was. So I guess we should just dive in and take a look. We'll start over here on the left. In fact, I might just blow this up a little bit so it's a little bit easier for us to see together. There we go. All right, so we're looking and reviewing Monday the 24th through to Sunday the 30th. And I can't believe it's already July. It's absolutely wild to me. This year has just flown. But looking at my weight data, so I took 4 weigh-ins. This is a measure of accountability, knowing that I had knowing that I had my photo shoot coming up on Saturday. I wanted to make sure that I was keeping myself in line with my goal of at least trying to maintain some shreds, but also being realistic with the workload that I had, with the product launches, with all of my clients, kind of everything kind of just coming back in an overwhelming fashion, as per usual after a competition for me. So that was really, I guess, a smart thing for me to do to kind of keep me corrected and on track. Often when I step away from my weighing, usually it's because I'm prepared to see the scale change and I'm okay with that. But if you are, still hoping to make changes and adjustments to your body composition, then I think having some form of accountability by, scale weight can certainly keep our behaviors in line with, our goals. You can see here my average weekly weight the previous week was 134.2. So that was kind of coming into my show. You can see my show here was on the 22nd. So my weight came in at 133.8, 134, 135. And then by Saturday morning, I was back at 134.9. So my weight on average is up by 0.7 of a pound. And that actually surprises me quite a bit. And I want to talk you through why. So when we pop over to have a look at my nutrition here, you can see my average calorie intake for the first 4 days of the week came in at it's around 1,500. If we look at the whole week, it was 1,538, which is still like pretty low, in the grand scheme of things. But throughout the course of the week, my delivery of Megalicious cookies had arrived. So I'd intentionally ordered a few of those from a friend of mine, Meg, who owns Megalicious cookies. By the way, if you haven't tried her brand of giant mega cookie yet, maybe you've tried like the PDX cookies or the Cleo Brownie company. I know there's so many companies that are doing these kind of fun, a treat-like cookies. Hers are awesome. Like, honestly, I have tried pretty much everything and she makes them all fresh and they are phenomenal. So go and check that out. But anyway, my cookies arrived, I think, on Wednesday and I'm like, this is really disappointing knowing that I've got my photo shoot coming up. So much of my day and my caloric consumption was just cookies. And that's not necessarily the way that I want to eat. I don't necessarily feel great when I'm just eating garbage, but I got back and didn't really have time to get my grocery order in. And I think if any of you guys follow me along on Instagram, as this was unfolding on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, I was kind of giving updates. So I finally found a moment or a break in between all of my patient work to put in an order of food. And so I'm like, oh, thank God I can actually make something wholesome. Like I was so excited to just have what I wanted to have. And anyway, the delivery order for Walmart is like, your delivery has arrived. So I'm like, dum-de-dum-de-dum, skipping up to my front door, like, yes, I've got food. And as I open the door, there's one bag and it has like my 4 Quest protein shakes, which is what I use in my coffee as creamer. So I'm like looking around, is there a mistake? Where's the rest of my groceries? And I check the notification. It's like, yes, your order is confirmed. It's been delivered. So the order has completely been stolen by whomever. And I think this is happening more and more and more. I don't think that Walmart are doing background checks on their workers, because I've had so many kind of instances. I'd say this is the 4th time now where like I've never had the whole order stolen like it was this time, but just certain produce. It's usually like the high protein, the more expensive items that are stolen. So I think just with the economy being the way that it is right now, people are really hurting, which is really sad that they're also just referring or resorting to like taking other people's things. So I had to put in like, I guess, a complaint and waste like 30 minutes just trying to get that refunded to then, go and put another order in, which never happened, by the way, because I didn't have any more time. Hence the cookie story. So most of my calories this week came from cookies, and then I had like a few random things left over. So I was scraping the barrel. I think I had cauliflower rice that was like in my freezer, and I had leftover Canadian bacon and like a couple of veggies or produce that I had bought just before I left to go to Chattanooga for nationals that were still good. So I ended up making like a giant stir-fried cauliflower rice, not because I wanted to have more like diet food, but I'm like, yeah, this is pretty much all I've got. And I guess I just needed to get something done. So yeah, I did not have a great week nutritionally, and it certainly was not an ideal circumstance to be in, because I was also sick. So I mean, what I wanted was like, just, I don't know, a nice like veggie soup or like just something that was nourishing and micronutrient rich, but it didn't happen. So I think looking at my weigh-in data, I'm actually really surprised that things didn't escalate, a lot higher because of the amount of carbohydrate and fat that were in some of these products. But I guess it all worked out, but I have definitely found myself, at least, after the photo shoot, quite a high appetite. So like on Sunday, again, we still had so many of these like brownies and things left over. So I've just been kind of picking and kind of getting it out of my system, I think. But my hunger has been okay, I think, for the most part. And I think also just having the cold and not really much of a desire to eat has probably dampened that craving that you might get when you've gone through quite an appreciable amount of caloric restriction. So if we come over and have a look at my protein compliance, you can see here that was actually a little bit higher than what my original goal was. So 102 grams was my daily or my weekly average. You can see there are a couple of days here on Saturday and Sunday where I'm a little bit lower than that. There's a day here on Tuesday. I think that actually might have been the day the cookies came, because that's the high carb day and the high fat day and the low protein day. So I just went for calories instead of trying to hit all my macros. And again, if you have, something like that you would like to enjoy one day, of trading out your protein, at the expense of carbohydrates and fats, it's not going to be the end of the world. So if you do that all the time, then that's going to have some negative consequences if, muscle building is your goal or retention of your muscle. But, here or there, it's not a big deal. So my protein range, remember, I brought it all the way down. So typically I would sit somewhere in the middle of that reference range. And then I wanted to give myself a bit more flexibility, at least in this early post-show period, to kind of allow more of those foods that I've had to really put a ceiling on the quantities of. So my protein range, I've given myself a lot of flexibility here. So 100 to 120 grams is kind of the range that I'm working in. Historically, I've had really high protein intakes, and there are certainly some advantages of having a high protein diet, particularly for individuals over the age of 40 and for those that are trying to optimize muscle growth. However, we also have to put that in context of your capacity to adhere to your calories and to achieve your goal. So, I was
again, just to reiterate what I used to do, and it was not serving me at all, my protein intake was so high that it was displacing my carbohydrate and fats. Now, in theory, that's a good thing. It means that there's less energy availability. It was helping with fat loss, but it was also meaning that my food variety was so narrow and so limited, and I felt so deprived by eating that way. And it was actually contributing or fueling a worse relationship with food. So, I've kind of pulled back a little bit on my protein, and I feel like I have so much more flexibility now, and it's not really super detrimental to my capacity to maintain my muscle mass. Again, it's a protein range or reference range for a reason. Now, there might be one group of individuals, which is, older adults, where I'd say, it might be beneficial to stay in that top third of the reference range to get the best results. But then there's also the human behind that and what's practically, realistic for them. So, by the way, I'm so sorry. I don't know whether you guys can hear Ray barking her head off, but Diego, the videographer, is still here. He's just packing up, and she is just, I don't know if you guys have like little dogs, but they're so protective, especially like in their house. So we go out in public. She's the sweetest thing, she's like, oh, look at me. And then as soon as like you're in her territory or someone comes in, and it's been really difficult with realtors and people coming in for showings, because every time she's like, I don't know, I've got to get her out more or something. But anyway, I digress. She's barking, so it's very distracting for me. Coming back over to look at my, my fiber intake for this week, it's actually not too dissimilar to previous weeks. So I was obviously doing a good job with all those cookies around to still have a couple of high fiber meals. It wasn't as high as I would like, but I still did an appreciable job. And I think most of the time this fiber was probably coming from some of the convenience products like the high fiber wraps, probably my cauliflower rice, and I think I also had some leftover parmini noodles. And again, I was scraping the barrel this week. I had very little, in my pantry to work with. But thank gosh, I have spent so many years investing in like learning how to cook, because I think most people would open my pantries and go, should we just order Uber Eats? So I felt like for any of the Australians that are listening, I don't know if you remember the TV show Aristos, the chef, and he would come in and basically like look at people's pantries and like put together a chef inspired meal. And he couldn't buy other things or other ingredients. He had to use what was in your fridge. And then he had like a timer, and I guess it was like, and go. So yeah, I felt like Aristos, the chef, this past week with my food prep. But I guess leading into the photo shoot on Saturday, I had mentioned before, like, was there anything specific that I wanted to do to make sure that I optimized, my appearance? And ideally, I would have kept a really stable sodium intake, and I would have kept a very stable fluid intake. And for me, because I don't want to necessarily appear more muscular, I would have kept my carbohydrates a little bit lower so that I came in kind of looking flat, to be honest. That was my strategy for my competitions as well. Conversely, for somebody that doesn't have a lot of muscle mass, if you've gotten really lean, you can kind of look like a pancake. So you want to like inflate them by adding carbohydrate, and that pulls water into the muscle. So I was basically just trying to keep a ceiling on my calories this week and not go crazy. And I did a pretty good job. And I think that kind of, goes to show, me eating 1,538 calories. It's not quite at my known maintenance that we talked about in my previous week. So, how is it that I regained body weight? Well, when we look at my activity levels this week, that's where my energy balance really shifted. So let's go and take a look at that. Okay, so you can see here my total energy expenditure for my lifting, and I only got 3 sessions in, remember, came in at 1246. So a sight lower than, the weeks leading into my competition where I was doing 4 or 5 sessions and they were up around the 2000s. So definitely a big hit to my overall energy expenditure. So even though I'd calculated my maintenance up at about 1,600 at the moment to maintain my current weight, that was with a high amount of exercise. I'm now bringing that down. So therefore my maintenance calories have to come down to kind of match the reduced overall energy output. So that's kind of why I've still gained a little bit of weight this week, despite having still relatively low calories. So a big drop off in my energy expenditure there. I did still make myself do a couple of spin sessions. This one was cut short as I had to race back to take a phone call, unfortunately. But, it was better than nothing. So I got 567 calories of energy expenditure from my cardio. And if we pop over and have a look at what my goal was, I actually kind of did a pretty good job with that. I had here a goal of 30 to 60 minutes of whatever I wanted. And this was still most convenient. I haven't had time to go and explore gyms for classes and yoga and, all that kind of thing yet, but it's certainly on my radar. So I got a little bit of that done this week. I didn't get some walking in on 3 days. So again, that's usually been a consistent 60 minutes for me to get to, the 12,000 step goal that I had been working towards. This week, again, just due to a really busy work schedule. And I think Thursday was the day that we were launching Bea Brain. And I, had phone calls in the morning. I had a staff meeting in the morning that I don't normally have. So my walk kind of went by the wayside. So you can see my steps on Thursday were only 3,400. And again, that's just a pretty standard day for me if I don't very intentionally plan to do movement. The weekend was obviously a bit of a write-off with the photo shoot kind of taking precedent over any activity and training, and then helping Sam move on Sunday. So, I was moving my body. You can see I still got a good amount of steps in, but we were kind of just going back and forth between, 2 condo buildings. And I also was, spending more time cleaning. So I was just in the one spot, polishing fridges and mopping down or wiping down shelves and things like that. So I didn't really move a whole lot, but I got some energy expenditure in nonetheless. Slightly lower than anticipated weekly average steps, but that's okay. I think I did the best for the circumstances that I was in. And, this is just life. I think, we can set ourselves a goal. Great. But then there's I wasn't lazy with my week. I did everything that I could, within my means. So, we kind of just have to accept those types of setbacks. So you can see here my weekly energy expenditure from where I was at in the weeks leading up to my competition, which was around 5,000, 5,400, 5,600. I've dropped ways back to only 3,200. So, we're almost at 50% of what I had been shooting for. So that's a big change in energy balance. So, naturally, and this is where I think after the fat loss phase for a lot of individuals, it's like they get to their goal, they get close to their goal and they're happy with their progress, but then they just let go of all of the habits and the behaviors that were allowing them to get there in the first place. So that's not to say that you have to maintain that indefinitely to maintain that body comp. There is potentially some amount of positive adaptation that we can accomplish through slowly tapering off the amount of activity and slowly tapering up our calories, but our metabolism doesn't adapt that quickly. So I think, going from A to Z, overnight, it's never a good, thing. We need to allow your body time to, start producing, the hormones that were not being synthesized because of the down regulation of calories. We need time, for your body to adapt back into, a lower amount of activity and to the higher calorie consumption. This week has been a fun one. I, as promised to myself, would start doing a little bit more running. So I got a 2-mile run in and my shins are absolutely murdered. After doing that. So I'm going to have to really titrate in my running over the next couple of months to kind of mitigate some of the harmful pain that comes from running out of having not done it for a long time. So that was a 17-minute run, guys, and my shins feel like they are being murdered today. So just going for a walk this morning, I was like, oh my God, I felt like I was walking with a limp. So I'll have to be very gentle in my approach and with the intensity as well with reintroducing that. This week, I've also scheduled a massage at the Iron University location. I don't know the therapist's name that I'm working with, but basically it is like a lymphatic massage. Now, I know that sounds a little bit woo, and I'm not normally about woo, but this looks like it could be a really advantageous strategy for future competitions where if you've been in a really inflamed state, this massage, they kind of work towards your lymphatic system and help with improving your circulation. And the before and after pictures, what I'm most interested in seeing with this particular style of massage is it helps, move and shift water and fluids, anything to do with your lymphatic system around. So the before and afters show, an inflamed kind of swollen, physique, where then the after picture, you see much more definition and, muscularity through some of those key critical areas like your abdominals or through the backs of your legs. So this is actually a perfect week for me to do this because I've had so many carbohydrates and I've also kind of been a lot more sedentary. So thinking about my circulation and like fluid retention, I really think this will be an interesting before and after. I don't think that it has lasting effects. I think this will be something that I will see maybe, a short 24-hour change in body comp. But for a competition, if you're hopping on stage or you're doing a photo shoot, that actually could be a really advantageous, prep protocol. So I'm very eager to do this. I've never done it before and I can't wait to see the results. And along with that, that is also, the current Miss, Arnold world champ. So Laura Lee Chap, she trains at Iron University and we've been chatting and I think we're going to get a workout together before I go and do that on Thursday, which will be the 4th of July. So I will have a fun training buddy for the 4th of July. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet, but I guess I'll chat with her over the next day or two to make sure that I've got everything that I need for our workout. So I'm very excited and very grateful at the opportunity to literally work and train with the person that I'm basically aspiring to get to that level. She's been at the Olympia many times. She's won many times. She's won the Arnolds. So I am extremely excited to have the opportunity to get down and train with her. So it's cool to have, your inspiration training partner. So yeah, I'm just trying to think about my next steps here. So in terms of calorie goals, now that I don't have anything kind of pressing, I really want to, resume my normal life and find balance. So I'll probably be less consistent with tracking my weight. Obviously, it's not really an outcome that I am overly concerned by. What will be, something that I consider when I do these check-ins is how am I feeling? How is my performance? How's my health? So a lot of the recommendations and, the adjustments that I might make to my training and or to my nutrition even won't necessarily be with weight as the main objective or outcome. I'm just not worried about that, but rather, how's that fueling my performance, or how you're feeling eating that many calories versus, should we be making some adjustments because your stomach's not feeling good, or, whatever it might be. I think as far as calorie goals for this week, given that it is the 4th of July and I know that I am planning a little trip, you can see I've got my tabs open up here. I'm trying to find a place to go and stay for just an overnight little getaway where I can take this little girl. I don't think you can see her, but anyway, my dog. So trying to find fun overnight staycation that's just close by to relax and just lay by the pool. That will be my number one goal for probably Friday and Saturday, I think, of this week. So I'd like to give myself a high day or two. So I'm thinking maybe 5 lower days or 5 days at my maintenance calories or my known maintenance, and then perhaps 2 higher days. And I don't want to be rigid with this, guys. I've been a stickler and dogmatic about it in the past. Those days for me are long gone. I truly can see, there's a time and a place for me personally to track macros, and that's when I'm competing. It makes perfect sense. It's the most accurate way to do things. But then there's my life, which I want to live. And, my aesthetic appearance isn't the most important thing to me anymore. My businesses, my staff, my team are the products and the people that we are serving. That is really where my heart is at. So, and I also want to be present and show up, in my personal life too. And having more flexibility definitely goes a long way. So I will set these targets and then, each week I can kind of talk you through my justification. If I go way over, why did I make that decision? Do I feel good about it? How might I make an adjustment, in future weeks? Again, I still like the idea of having a range for my protein this week. I'll keep it at 98 just so that I've got a set target, but just so you know, I'll be working to stay, around that 100 gram mark. If I go higher, great. Again, it'll depend on what foods are available. If I get my groceries this week, I need to do that again. And then what's available, at the restaurants that I go and eat at. And then for my, normal day calorie targets or carbohydrate targets, I think I'll try and match what I've got here, which was 200 grams of carbs and about 50 grams of fat. So that's 1642. This is probably going to keep me at or slightly above my current weight. Again, knowing that my exercise is going to be a little bit lower now that I'm not putting pressure on myself for prep. I've had almost a 50% reduction in my exercise caloric expenditure since finishing the show. So I'm not going to have the luxury of having, 2,500 calories or whatever, because I'm not an active person. So these numbers, I'll be interested to see where they land me. I think probably somewhere around the 136 mark would be a good place for me to settle in at with those numbers, with my new amount of exercise. And I'll pop that up here in a minute. Not striving for crazy high fiber intake at the moment. Obviously, I always feel best when I'm having, fresh whole foods, nutrient rich foods, but there's also, a lot of things going on in my life right now, and recipe exploration and being overly creative, isn't my number one priority. It's still a priority, but it's probably not right up at the top. So fiber for me and exploring those types of things probably will come down the line. And moreover, I've been so focused on having, a high fiber diet and lots of low calorie foods during this prep. I want to give myself a little bit of flexibility to make sure that I can have, some of these fun foods, and again, normalize them back into my diet. And for the upper end, I think, of my carbohydrate target, I think 250 probably sounds like a dream compared to what I have been having, which I remember in those last couple of weeks of my prep, I was around, 90 grams, or at least for the last week I tried. And then it had been sitting at about 110. So to me, looking at these numbers, I'm like, whoa, it's so flexible. But no doubt I will start to kind of become more normal and my perception will adjust back to what's real and a healthy amount of calories for a normal human trying to do normal things. So as far as my dietary fat, I think maybe giving myself a range of about 20 grams. So you can see here, 2,222 might be like the upper limit that I work towards. And then my 1,642 will be kind of the more stable 5 days of the week. So that would bring my average to 1751 this week. I think, or I suspect that if I do eat that amount of calories, I'll probably gain a little bit more body fat. But, again, I'm not necessarily trying to stay super lean and shredded. I just want to find a place where I feel comfortable. I can train in a way that I feel good, that feels balanced and fits my lifestyle. So my training program that I'm doing at the moment is a 4-day program. I've got a brand new one, which I think I worked through with you last week. 30 to 60 minutes of planned intentional moderate intensity to high intensity cardio. And I think I'll probably do another run this week and maybe a spin, just depending on, what my schedule looks like and what happens over the weekend with the 4th of July holidays. And then I think for my steps, I really enjoy walking. So, if I can still get out and go for a walk, before I start my day, I just feel so good when I can do that. So I think I'll keep my step goal right around that 10,000. So I think that's about all from me for this week. At the expense of not going insane listening to Ray barking right now, I am going to come back and do a slightly longer, Q&A questions in the next week's update. So I know over on YouTube, there are lots and lots and lots of comments. So next week, and I'm so sorry, I just wish that I didn't have a yapping dog right now. It's very frustrating, but I honestly cannot concentrate with this going on. So next week, I will make sure that I go through all of those questions that you guys have asked and respond to those with as much detail as I can. And again, do not forget about the Love Yourself Fit program. If you'd like to get involved, please reach out. All of the links are available in the description below. And if you're not using Bea Fit Training App, go and check out my workout app. It is awesome. We've got new programs going up all the time. And also check out Bea Brain, my new research review. That's a monthly reoccurring subscription where you'll get access to the latest research in the areas of nutrition and exercise science. So I'll see you next week, guys. Bye.